Hi everyone, I'm live for the day 3 of my gift book read. I hope you watched my yesterday's book video, and I'd asked a question about the writer and the director of the film Avatar. I hope you found the answer. The director's name is James Cameron, and he won many awards, an Oscar for that beautiful film. And there are going to be many such beautiful films that will be relating and connecting while we go through our reading during the book club. So it's going to be a beautiful journey exploring together. And if you're liking what I'm reading, and if this is the kind of thing that connects with you, and if you're really interested in exploring more, there is an event on my page, and I would want you to fill up the Google document, and we'll get back to you with more details on what this book club is all about and how we're going to be functioning in this book club. So I think I'm going to be beginning with my read. The chapter from the book A New Earth, Create a Better Life by Eckhart Tolle. The chapter is called The Lost Ring, and this is one of his experience. Eckhart Tolle shares one of his experiences with one of his clientele or a mentee, and what happens in this experience. That's what this entire read is about. So he says, when I was seeing people as a counselor and a spiritual teacher, I would visit a woman twice a week whose body was riddled with cancer. She was a school teacher in her mid-40s and had been given no more than a few months to live by her doctor. Sometimes few words were spoken during those visits, but mostly we would sit together in silence, and as we did, she had her first glimpses of the stillness within herself that she never knew existed during her busy life as a school teacher. Is the stillness we most of the time miss out on exploring during our busy schedule, and it requires for us to connect once at least in a day within ourselves to regenerate and revitalize ourselves, our mind and our being. And let's see what happens further. One day, however, I arrived to find her in a state of great distress and anger. What happened? I asked. Her diamond ring of great monetary as well as sentimental value had disappeared, and she said she was sure it had been stolen by the woman who came to look after her for few hours every day. She said she didn't understand how anybody could be so callous and heartless as to do this to her. She asked me whether she should confront the woman or whether it would be better to call the police immediately. I said I couldn't tell her that, or couldn't tell her what to do, but asked her to find out how important a ring or anything else was at this point in her life. You don't understand, she said. This was my grandmother's ring. I used to wear it every day until I got ill, and my hands became too swollen. It's more than just a ring to me. How can I not be upset? The quickness of her response and the anger and the defensiveness in her voice were indications that she had not yet become present enough to look within and to disentangle her reaction from the event and observe them both together. Her anger and defensiveness were signs that the ego was still speaking through her. I said, I'm going to ask you a few questions, but instead of answering them now, see if you can find the answers within you. I will pause briefly after each question, and when an answer comes, it may not necessarily come in the form of words. She said she was ready to listen. I asked, do you realize that you will have to let go of this ring at some point, perhaps quite soon? How much more time do you need before you will be ready to let go of it? Will you become less when you let go of it? Has who you are become diminished by the loss? Meaning, have you become less by having lost this ring? I mean, your value has reduced while losing this ring? These were a few minutes, there was few minutes of silence after the last question. When she started speaking again, there was a smile on her face and she seemed at peace. The last question made me realize something important, she said. First, I went to my mind for an answer. And my mind said, yes, of course, you have been diminished. And then I asked myself the question again. Has who I am become diminished? And this time, I tried to feel rather than think the answer. And suddenly, I could feel the I amness. I have never felt that before. And if I can feel that I am so strongly, then who I am hasn't been diminished at all. I can still feel it now. Something peaceful but very alive. And that is the joy of being, I said. You can only feel it when you get out of your head. Being must be felt. It can't be thought or taught. The ego doesn't know about it. Because thought is what it consists of. The ring was really in your head as a thought that was confused with the sense of I am. You thought the I am or the part of it was in the ring. Wherever or whatever the ego seeks and gets attached to are substitutes for the being that it cannot feel. You can value and care for things, but whenever you get attached to them, you will know it's the ego. And you are never really attached to a thing but to a thought that has I, me, or mine in it. And whenever you completely accept a loss, you go beyond ego and who you are and the I am, which is consciousness itself, and it emerges. It doesn't mean that you should never lock your door. All it means is that sometimes letting things go is an act of far greater power than defending or hanging on. Wow, it's so beautiful. And this is how true mentor works. It doesn't give you direct answers. It just allows you to feel and see things within. And the book club, the Philosopher's book club, is meant to do the same. It will create and become a catalyst for you to go within and find what you're looking for in life, whatever that is. And in the last few weeks of her life, now this beautiful change that occurs in this lady's life. In the last few weeks of her life, as her body became weaker, she became more and more radiant, as if light was shining through her. She gave many of her possessions away, some to the woman she thought had stolen the ring. And with each thing she gave away, her joy deepened. When her mother called me to let me know that she had passed, she also mentioned that after her death, they found the ring in the medicine cabinet. Did the woman return the ring, or had it been there all this time? Nobody will ever know. But one thing we know for sure, life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. And how do you know this is the experience you need? because this is the experience that you're having in the moment. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. And we've discussed during our personal sessions with many of you again and again on the same line, and here it is written in the book. Is it wrong then to be proud of one's possession or feel resentful towards people who have more than you? Not at all. That sense of pride or needing to stand out, the apparent enhancement of one's self through more than and diminishment through less than, is neither right nor wrong. It is the ego, and the ego isn't wrong. It's just unconsciousness. But when you observe the ego in yourself, you're beginning to go beyond it. It's just about observing it. Don't take the ego too seriously. When you detect egoic behavior in yourself, smile. Most times we feel guilty about, people who are more aware, people who are empathetic, who are sensitive. They feel guilty that did I behave arrogant, did I behave egoic? It's not about feeling guilty, it's about just being an observer of what came out of you. Wow. And at times you may even laugh. It's about being that lightness with your behavior as well and being kind to yourself. How could humanity have been taken in by this for so long? Above all, know that the ego isn't personal. It isn't who you are. If you consider the ego to be your personal problem, then it's just more ego. Wow, I love this book. And, with this, I just kind of recall this beautiful, and I keep saying it again and again and again in many of my, videos and in my personal sessions, that it's be the change that you want to see in the world. And this Be the Change movement by Mahatma Gandhi began in the city of Ahmedabad, and the freedom's first roots and the first seeds were planted in Ahmedabad. And what if we as Ahmedabadis, I'm sure we are reaching out to more people than just Ahmedabad and connecting to more cities and probably people from the world for this book club. But what if we as Ahmedabadi become that change for ourselves and spread the word ahead and fight whatever is going on in the world with our evolved consciousness and with our joy and exploring something that is greater in us, something that is possible for us, and let's do it together. So join me on Philosopher's Stone Book Club. Do fill up the document. I'm going to be leaving the details in the comment section, and I'll be seeing you soon on that platform.